Yeah.
Squeak, squeak. And hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Squeak, Squeak conversion, or sorry, the 2 point conversion. Our Monday night football preview show here on the Going for Two Live Network. I'm Kyle Senra. That's Gladys Louise Tyler. Gladys, how are you doing?
Just great. Thank you. Just great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All our viewers can enjoy all the squeaky toy noises that you're hearing from your dogs at your place, and you're sharing that with all of us. Embrace it, everyone.
Yeah. And you know what the really weird thing is? She just started it too. Just now. She just decided that she's gonna leave my chair alone and play with her Halloween toy that's a squeaky toy. I'm just gonna put it right here for now. See what happens. She has 3 other ones. She'll probably find them.
Well, I guess it's the journey through the episode. Our listeners will find out too if she finds them. Maybe she's like, "Oh, you're recording. I want to be heard. This is my contribution."
Yeah, this is.
So start the squeaky toy this week. Whoever the squeaky wheel is in fantasy, start them. Whatever players complaining a lot about their usage, start them this week. That's what the dog's saying with the squeaky wheel. I think that's how I interpret it.
Okay, it's a good interpretation. We'll take it.
Or play all the Browns because she's a dog and she'd say go Browns. Like Jamie.
She's a Steeler dog.
Okay. Betraying all the dogs, which is fine. You stealing them away, or away from them. But yeah, Jamie's here, so don't start the show without me. Sorry, but I'm confused because he put it in the chat implying that he's here. So we started the show, Jamie. If you're not back, sorry.
Is he coming on?
I mean, he can if he wants to. I mean, let us know, Jamie. I'll send you the invite if you want.
Yeah, Jamie. Come on.
But I suppose anyone else who's listening lucky enough to join us if they want. But
2 Canadians. That's all we need.
Sure, and yeah, well, I was going to talk about a kind of Canadian player anyway today, or Dan certainly was, or is part of his player prop for the game tonight, which is the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. So thanks everyone for joining us here, Going for Two Live Network on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video. If you're watching after the fact, we'd also appreciate if you comment underneath the video. That helps us. Now that Going for Two has been partnered, our quest to get that we had the follower or the subscriber count we needed. We had the other facets we needed, a certain number of hours watched, and we finally hit that milestone last week. So
what's happening?
I actually don't know what the perks are if anything changes, but we're technically partnered with YouTube now as part of the first step towards monetization, I think. So Jeff, yeah. So yeah, we good job, everyone. Thank you for everyone who's watched all the videos, because that's really what put us over the edge. Of course, all the liking, subscribing, and commenting has helped. But yeah, certainly those watch hours is what finally gave us that partnership. So now, not quite a partnership. We do have a sponsorship, however, from Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code GF2 or scan the QR code that you see on screen if you have not yet signed up for Underdog. And if you do so, they will double your initial deposit up to $100. So you can use it to, heck, right now, I mean, the game is more than an hour away. So if you have enough time to sign up for Underdog, use the promo code GF2, deposit $100, have $200 in your account, and use some of that money for picks tonight on the Bills-Broncos game that we're going to talk about.
Yes, we are. You also could use the Thursday night game. I think is going to be very interesting. So use some of that money to pick on the Thursday night game too.
Yeah, Ravens, Bengals, I believe, right?
Yes, and both of them have massive injuries that are gonna make the game more interesting. Like offensive line players that aren't going to be well, and defensive line players that aren't going to be well. So bet on them. I lost a parlay because friggin' Jacksonville kicked a field goal. 37. I went under, and it was 37, and they made it 37 with that field goal. Like, they weren't going to win. They knew they weren't going to win that game. Why kick the field goal? Come on. I was so mad.
To not get shut out? Like, I mean, and I can get that motivation from them, right? Like, okay, we have a chance to not have a 0 on this board. Even if it's just 3 points, it's at least proof that we didn't get completely shut out. Sometimes I could see that from Peterson's position, like the shutout would be worse mentally for the team, and maybe they need it. Maybe they need that slap in the face that see that 0 hung up. But
I think it would have been better than 3
You
points.
want to also give the team some confidence, right? So we were able to score at least some points against this team. So I can understand that. Sorry, as much as it screwed you over with your betting. But
well, I mean, I don't know if even that kick would give Jacksonville confidence in that game. Like they were never ever in that game. There was no point in that game where you thought, which much to my concern, because I thought their defense would hold up against Purdy. They were never in that game ever. The only good thing their defense did was stop CMC from getting that touchdown. Like no matter how hard
he did not break the record. He has tied the record for consecutive games touchdown. Now watch him just restart a new streak and he'll break the record again. So maybe that's the motivation he needs for fantasy managers to just have him carry through the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was very disconcerting for me. But I actually didn't realize I had lost the parlay. I actually didn't realize what my parlay was because I do the parlay like today, and then I just forget about it because they're parlays, and parlays like that dice roll. You know what I mean? If you're picking like 7 teams, chances of you winning that parlay are going to be really, really low. But if you win it, it's really great. So I pick it at the beginning of the week so I can just forget about it. So I had forgotten about it until I looked on the thing, and I'm like, 37. It's the only thing I missed. Jacksonville. Ugh, they played so bad. There were so many good games yesterday. Oh, there were a few good games yesterday, and then like the first game and the last game sucked so bad that the first game sucked, and then you had all these great games, and you're like, oh my God, this is a great day. And then you get to the Sunday night game, and you're like, oh, this is painful. This isn't a great day.
It's funny because after that Chargers Lions game, I had to record the Packers pod, and from then I just wasn't motivated to like watch the Jets Raiders game. I think there was other stuff. Avengers 2 was on TV. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds fun. So yeah, I did not watch the Raiders Jets game at all.
You didn't miss much. I mean, I'm glad.
Aiden O'Connell and Zach Wilson. Like I need to see that quarterback shootout.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I watched enough great football. Someday you need to ruin it there.
Great. There was some great football yesterday. I mean,
Chargers Lions was a great way to end the day, I thought. So like once that game was over, it's like, okay, well, yeah, football's done. That's good. Actually, no, it was Commanders Seahawks was the last one to finish.
Yeah, I didn't see that game. I saw the Chargers Commanders were the last game I saw until the Sunday night game came on, and then after the first quarter, I stopped watching that. But I didn't watch anything else. I think I went to bed.
Congrats on your Steelers for beating the Packers.
The Steelers once again. I don't know if it's sustainable. I mean, clearly it's kind of sustainable, but not when. But once again, they were outgained by like 200 something yards, and they end up winning the game. It's like Tomlin's got that magic fairy dust that he's like.
I thought this was pretty close in yards gained. I thought they were within 100 yards.
I thought the Packers had like something like 330, and the Steelers had something like 126. But I could be wrong. I
thought the Steelers had way more offense than that. But you know, it's funny because they scored the 2 touchdowns real quick, like the 2 long drives. Like I think the second touchdown was early in the second quarter, and then didn't find the end zone again. So
right. I mean, all the scoring was the first half.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I think that
both teams scored 6 points each in the second half. So
I mean, I was listening to I don't even know what podcast I was listening to, and they were talking about that game specifically in a series of games, and they were saying how Christian Watson is part of the problem. Like his route running, apparently, and granted, Christian Watson's young, and you're going against Patrick Peterson, who is slower, but he's wiser. So he's not gonna you're not gonna fool him Jordan Love with like a pump fake, and you're not gonna fool him Christian Watson with like a shimmy. He knows what he's doing. So I think a lot of it was youth versus experience too, that kind of hurt the Packers. But
yeah,
I mean,
for sure. There's Romeo Doubs is clearly the better route runner. As much as JD says he's awful, he is the best route runner on the Packers. So he's at least going to the spot he needs to. Now I think Jayden Reed is kind of emerging as the team's best receiver. It did seem like against the Steelers, no Minka Fitzpatrick, the slot receiver for the Packers was kind of an ideal matchup. And I felt Jayden Reed took advantage of that. And so he looked the best. I don't know if that's going to be the case week over week, but yeah, Watson, it's weird because there's times when he's wide open. Like they've either designed a route for him and Love isn't throwing to him, but when Love throws to Watson, it's, oh, he's double covered. Now I'll throw to him. So to
Yeah.
a certain extent, too, like a lot of this is on Jordan Love.
Well, I think, and I'm not a Jordan Love apologist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not an apologist for anyone that's making like a gazillion dollars a year, which is an exaggeration, but it's way more than I make. But I think a lot of it too is Jordan Love, at least like the glimpses of the game that I watched, because I hate watching the Steelers play because I have so much vested in them winning. But his decision making, like when to throw the ball, like it's not like Will Levis. It's not like Will Levis. So I think thinks that he can get the ball in the Baker Mayfield, gunslinger mentality. My arm
The
is
Brett
good
Favre
enough.
idea.
Yeah,
There's no throw I can't make.
I can't make.
Doesn't matter how risky it is.
I don't think that's Jordan Love. I think it's maybe reading the defense and knowing like what time to throw the ball, like when he shouldn't throw it and when he should throw it. Like if you guys are covered, maybe go for the guy that's in the middle of the field instead of trying to get like your first read. You know what I mean? Things like that. So I mean, and those kind of problems I think are correctable. Like you can overcome those kind of problems. But
for sure, everything's teachable.
Right.
I also think his accuracy isn't great, but there's times when it gets better. So it shows that accuracy is something you can work on and can improve. I would say he's really inconsistent because there are times, like I think of the touchdown, the first quarter touchdown to Romeo Dubs. Perfect decision, right?
nice.
Like Dubs got open. I mean, and it was a great play designed by Matt LaFleur, running Jaden Reed in motion and kind of running him that side of the field as well, but underneath. So it sort of drew that underneath coverage, and then Dubs can just beat him over the top to the corner of the end zone. So like the play design is well designed by Matt LaFleur to start with. Love found the right read to go to it with Dubs, and he made the right throw. Like that was like
it was a great throw.
Right to the corner pylon, essentially. It was super awesome accuracy, and then Dubs made a great catch. But
right.
So it shows that Love is capable at times, but there's other times when, where he's not making the right decision or the pass accuracy isn't accurate. I got to say, though, Gladys, I thought this was Jordan Love's best game of the season.
I thought he played well. I mean,
and yet they still couldn't score 20 points. His best game of the season. And granted, great Steelers defense, but that's, I think, showing the upside of Jordan Love, where he's not that Super Bowl winning quarterback. And I mean, maybe I'm spoiled as a Packers fan, but that's kind of what the standard has been. Like this quarterback, we think he can run to the team to the Super Bowl, and I don't have that faith at all in Jordan Love. So.
I think what was that? I think you guys went 1 for 5 in the red zone. 1 for 5 in the red zone. So I mean, it can't all be quarterback. If you're going 1 for 5 in the red zone, like there are other issues happening there.
Yeah, the O line isn't phenomenal. Yeah. There's a couple of good pieces on the line, but also to answer Jamie's question, Romeo Dubs. I know you hate on Romeo Dubs, think he's awful. He's a good route runner and he's got good hands. He's not a great separator. He's not going to get open on his own. He'll get open if, again, the Matt LaFleur route concepts, kind of like on that touchdown, allow him to get open. When everyone else runs the right route and it draws away the defense, he'll run the route perfectly, be on time at the exact spot Love is expecting or whoever the quarterback is expecting, which is why Love is trusting him so much in the red zone. So he's really good at route running. He's the best route runner on the Packers. And I would say maybe even the best set of hands for the among receivers. But yeah, all the other receivers are better at getting open with their own athleticism. They can outrun the guys. Jaden Reed's great at getting open, but maybe not running the routes in the exact way that Love expects him to be. Musgrave had a lot of problems with that earlier in the season. That's starting to work its way through. There was a bit where they kept missing on the deep throws, so then suddenly they just didn't decide any deep routes for him. Everything Musgrave was starting to catch was underneath, and then it was working. Okay, especially from a PPR perspective, we liked it because he was getting volume. And now they're starting to run Musgrave deeper again. So, like, again, route running is something that can improve. But yeah, I agree. I was expecting a lot more from Christian Watson. He's been disappointing. They targeted him a lot on that opening drive. And then ultimately they got to the red zone. They went to Dubs. But he was kind of like a primary target through that drive. And then they sort of went away from him.
Well, also, too, your run defense sucked. I mean, if Najee Harris is like 100, getting 100 yards, you know that your run defense.
Didn't they both have 100 yards?
They both did, but Warren. I've always been the whole season. I've always been higher on Warren than I am on Harris.
Oh, Najee had 82 yards
total. Like Didn't he
But
have
still,
some
he's not usually that efficient. And by the way, I was looking at the total yards. You're right. And yeah, the Packers did outgain the Steelers. So that's all 6 wins. The Steelers have been outgained in total yards.
Yeah.
399 to 324. But I think what you were talking about, Gladys, was the passing
yards. Yeah.
He had 283 for the Packers, 119. And my last point I'm going to make, and I did kind of make these points in the Full Press Packers pod yesterday, but this, because I think most people would say Love's best game statistically, and the Packers' offense best game was the Bears game, week 1. They put up, I think, 37. And literally, they haven't scored more than 21 in any other game. But I thought in that Bears game, Justin Fields was the better quarterback than Jordan Love, but the Packers team was just so much better than the Bears team that Fields himself couldn't overcome that.
Right.
I kind of felt it was the opposite here. Love was the better quarterback than Kenny Pickett, but the Steelers coaching, the Steelers run defense is better than the Packers. I will say the Packers run defense kind of went as Kenny Clark did. Kenny Clark wasn't great in the first 2 drives, really, and they both resulted in rushing touchdowns. And then Kenny Clark was a beast the rest of the way, and the Steelers never found the end zone again. So, but that is the problem. If Kenny Clark isn't dominating, the Packers defense isn't great. So they really need a second interior lineman that can wreak havoc, because if the Steelers are just running the ball, then suddenly edge rushers like Rashawn Gary, I mean, his whole thing is sacking quarterbacks. If the Steelers aren't going to throw and they're going to run, it takes Rashawn Gary's best attributes out of the game. So Dan's not with us on screen, but he's with us in the chat. So
what up, Dan?
Excited.
How's that move going? Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say is that I'm not sure the way the Steelers are playing is sustainable if their offense doesn't get going. Like, you can't 126 yards passing in this league in this time it's laughable. It's just laughable, especially when you have Deontay Johnson and you have George Pickens and you'll get Pat Freiermuth back, but you still have like 2 semi-capable tight ends in Washington and Hayward. And I'm sorry. I know we're winning, and so the Matt Campbell or the Matt Canada kind of noise is quieted slightly, but it's not a sustainable offense.
Well, it's funny because you'd think the Steelers would be able to exploit the secondary matchups. Jair Alexander was out. Rasul Douglas traded. Eric Stokes on IR. The Packers' top 3 corners were out. And I will say Keyshawn Nixon, not like last year he emerged and was an all-pro kick returner. This year he's kind of emerging as the main slot receiver or slot corner. That nickel corner spot. Even when Douglas was on the team, that was kind of his thing last year. They moved him outside because Stokes was out, and Nixon's really taken that spot over. So he did phenomenal. But with Carrington Valentine and Corey Ballantyne as your outside corners, Johnson and Pickens should have been able to exploit that. And yeah, Pickett should have had a much better game.
Both of them should have had a much better game.
Darnell Savage out at safety. Like, really, the Packers have one of their 5 starting defensive backs, like from like week 1 starters, available in this game. And it was Rudy Ford, who's like the new young, like in his 2nd or 3rd year safety that's sort of viewed as the weak link of the secondary anyway.
4 receivers, 2 receivers, 3 receivers had 4 targets each. 4 targets. That was the maximum.
2 of them were Warren and Najee.
Yeah. No.
5 receivers had 4 targets each.
Najee and Cameron Hayward
and Pickens and Deontay. Yeah, all of them had just 4 targets.
4 targets.
Deontay 1 catch for 17 yards is pretty.
That's ridiculous.
Pretty abysmal.
It's ridiculous, and I'm still blaming Canada for it.
I think Pickett's got room to blame. Like he's like Love. Like I wouldn't have much confidence with either of those 2. But
there was
Tomlin can just. As good as Matt LaFleur is a coach, he's not as good as Tomlin. So Tomlin can elevate this team to win games, even with.
I read a stat yesterday that Pickens is like 32nd in air yards. Like, he does not throw past 15 yards downfield, which hurts Pickens, but it shouldn't have hurt Deontay. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're going to have to do something, because it's not sustainable. They're not overtaking Cincinnati's offense. They're not going to overtake Baltimore's offense. Cleveland, they might have a shot at. Watson.
Well, what do you think about next week? Steelers Browns. That's JB's question, and maybe you guys can harass Dan on his Pick'em show on Wednesday. So.
Watson getting MRI on his ankle? Didn't he hurt his ankle?
Oh, that was his ankle too. So he's got the shoulder injury and the ankle injury and the.
Yeah, he's getting MRI on his ankle, and then they lost someone on the O line, I think. On a
So
really
you're confident you're in the Steelers can beat the Browns again? Because I noticed the Browns in both games this year have been favored, and they were 2-point road favorites against the Steelers in week 2, and we all picked the Browns to win, and we all got that one wrong. The Steelers ended up winning, so now they're the Steelers. This was in Cleveland, but the Browns again are favored slightly.
Yeah.
I think it's 1.5.
Yeah, it's not a big. It's almost a pick 'em. I don't know.
I mean, if PJ Walker's in, I'm pretty sure PJ Walker has as many wins as Watson does this year. So does it really hurt if he's not playing?
I think it does because I think he's more of a run threat if he's healthy, Deshaun Watson, and I think that might be part of the Steelers' problem, or not problem, but Achilles heel on that line is quarterbacks who are mobile. So I don't know. I have to wait to see how Watson comes out.
And I think, Jamie saying the Browns beat the Browns, made mistakes, turnovers, and things like that. I also think losing Nick Chubb in the middle of the game, that messed up their whole plan. And Jerome Ford has emerged well, but I think they weren't prepared for that. And that sort of really took the wind out of their sails. Their best offensive players got it. They've been able to adjust since, but adjusting on the fly seemed like it was difficult for them.
Well, I mean, Ford, he had a good game yesterday against a really good defense. So
Kareem Hunt found the end zone too for the touchdown. So that's where they've been a lot better as a red zone team is running than passing. So they should continue to rely on that. And I think both Hunt and Ford are playable even against the Steelers next week, as good as their defense is.
Yeah.
Dan's giving us some over-under trends. So we're going to, basically this seems like it's a good time to talk about the Broncos-Bills game. So let's see what Dan is going to share with us before we get to our picks. But win-loss record for Buffalo. So Buffalo is 4-0 at home this year. Denver is 1-2 on the road.
Denver's never beaten Buffalo. Never.
Ever.
There's
in Buffalo.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. Against the spread trends for Denver, Buffalo is 3-6 this year against the spread. Denver is 2-5-1. So neither have been great against the spread. As home favorites, Buffalo is 2-2 against the spread.
I think Denver's 7-1 against Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott has beat them 7 times, and Denver's won 1. And I don't know when that one win was, but it hasn't been recent.
And road dogs, apparently Denver is 0-2 against the spread. So a lot of the trends I'm seeing is like neither of these teams are great against the spread in either direction. So it's not.
Well, I think
there's nothing really convincing one way or the other.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem is Denver's last 3 games, once Justin Simmons got back and the linebacker, Douglas, the linebacker got back, Denver became appreciably better on defense. Like, they're still last in the running game, but it went from allowing 151 yards to allowing like 90 yards. So I think the variance of outcome in this game is so ridiculously wide because Buffalo, quite honestly, hasn't played their best ball yet, or what we assume to be Buffalo's best ball. If Denver plays their best ball and Buffalo doesn't, I don't think Denver will win, but I think the game will be within 3 points. I don't see Buffalo blowing them out by 8 points.
Well, I think that's the thing. If Buffalo isn't a very strong run team, if they were, they may be able to take advantage of that matchup. But it's funny. The fact that they can't run it means it might be closer, right? Like that's typically how it is anyway. Like a team that can win and run the ball, you're gonna shorten the length of the game. You're gonna speed up the game in the sense like the clock's not gonna stop, give the other team less possession. So, but because Buffalo can't run, they could allow the Denver to stay in it. Just one last message from Dan about these trends. So Denver at Buffalo. Denver is 4-4, even Buffalo 3-6 under for the year. Oh, that's like overall against the spread, I think. Or no, I don't know what that is. Over under trends. Against like okay, this is be like the higher lower on like which is 48 for this game. So Denver's gone 4-4 in their games in terms of going over. Now, I don't know if they've had any overs. Oh, I guess they did the Chiefs game. That was a 52. But yeah, Buffalo is 3-6 on the higher lowers as well.
Since
Home favorite 2-3,
Hold
and
on.
road dog Denver's 1-1 in terms of the over.
Since Simmons came back, there's not been a running back to have more than 75 yards on the ground against them.
All right then. So yeah. Actually, yeah, Jamie's got a couple questions. He's saying he has a 10-leg parlay tonight and he's going to win it. So if you could share us what the 10 legs are, Jamie, we'll bring it up throughout the show. He is asking what we're going to be eating for tonight's game. He's making salmon and scallops with broccoli and rice. That does sound delicious. I can't hear you, Gladys.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm having asparagus, broccoli, carrots with boiled potatoes.
Okay. That also sounds delicious, actually.
What are you having?
Well, I ordered a poutine from the local chip stand.
You ordered a what?
A poutine.
I don't know what that is.
So it's fries and cheese and a gravy sauce, and you can kind of usually cheese curds. It's kind of especially something from Quebec, but we love to eat it all over Canada.
Huh. It does sound interesting. Why is he talking to me in caps? Why is he yelling at me?
Dan?
Why?
Oh,
yes.
I mean, that's his ranting way, right? We love when he rants. So
not at me. No, I don't. I don't. Oddly enough, because they have Mike Tomlin as a head coach. Dan, that's how they're 6-3. Because Tomlin is the head coach and he's magic. He is the magic man. He's the true Magic Mike. Fuck Channing Tatum. Mike Tomlin is the true Magic Mike.
I'm at a 60th. Oh, Dan's at a birthday party. So birthday party this week, and yeah, he'll be missing the 4th. So 3 weeks from now for that. I think that's the.
He's 60? What?
No, someone else's 60th.
Oh.
Or it's Chinese? The 60th anniversary. It's the 60th something.
Chinese. So he's having Chinese food and beer. Is that what?
Yeah. Yummy.
Maybe.
But yeah.
Damn.
What was I going to say? I don't remember now. But yeah, well, I was going to talk about this game actually. So yeah, we've already hinted at it a little bit, but the Bills are 7.5-point favorites, and the higher lower is set at 48.
All right, so Jamie's 10-leg parlay: Buffalo Bills money line under 57.5, Denver Broncos plus 17.5 spread alternative, 60 plus points for 60 plus yards Stephon Diggs, 25 plus yards Courtland Sutton, over 11.5 team total points for Denver, under 26.5 Denver team total points, over 20.5 Buffalo Bills team total points, Buffalo Bills money line first half, and Buffalo Bills money line second half.
So, the one thing I like about Jamie is he's really smart with his parlays. Like, again, it's taking 10 legs, so it's going to be long shots anyway. But like the correlating it, like, okay, what's the points range? As long as Denver gets between 12 and 25 points, he hits 2 legs of those 10 leg parlays, right? So like, there's a few of them that are kind of set together in that sense. I've seen him do that whenever he does parlays. He'll take, this is the range either of the team total or the game total,
right?
Higher than this low one and lower than this high one. So long as it's anywhere in the middle, he hits 2 legs. So,
well, I mean,
super smart.
I think it's interesting. I never thought about it. He thinks Buffalo's going to lead the whole game, basically, is what he's saying. So he picks Buffalo money line first half, Buffalo money line second half, and Buffalo money line to win, which is basically the same parlay, right?
They're going to be leading at halftime, and they're going to win the game.
Exactly. They're going to be leading at the first half. They're going to be leading. Dog. They're going to be leading at So I mean,
which makes sense to pick the money line that, because it's just flat up, right? It doesn't matter how many points. So if the Bills have such a large spread, and that's what the odds makers are saying, those would be the games you go the money line. The Bills game where they're only favored by 2, you're less likely to do it then because it's expected to be so close. So
that's interesting. I might have to parlay that. I may have to do that this week. Because I've never thought of doing.
Jamie saying you can see how he's expecting the game script on the team.
Right, he's expecting the Bills to lead the whole time.
And then he took Denver plus 17.5 to win.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So I don't think they're going to lose by 18. So then that makes sense too. Then. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, so I guess we can get to our picks before we answer Dan's QB question.
Wait, what Gladys, who would you roster rest of season in a 2 quarterback league? Kenny Pickett.
Okay, we'll answer that right now. Kenny Pickett or Tommy DeVito?
I'm gonna have to go Kenny Pickett because
I think there's a chance Matt Barkley could start games.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Matt Barkley's coming in.
I don't think Trubisky's going to start unless Pickett gets hurt.
Right.
Which could be the case anyway. But either guy could get injured. I mean, frankly, the Giants have already had 2 QBs injured because their O-line's so bad. So I would argue that DeVito's probably more likely than Pickett to get hurt. But it's football, so both are pretty likely.
They're not even letting DeVito pass the ball, are they? What's he have, like 8 attempts or something really weird like that?
I thought last week it was a little more, and they were down by like it was 37-0.
3,000 points.
So I think at that point they just didn't care about okay, let's let him pass then.
Let's see.
Yeah, 3,000 points about that. Yeah.
He had 36 of passing attempts last week.
I think last
week.
No.
And they just no. That's wrong. That's so wrong. That was Tyrod Taylor in week 6. My bad. Totally my bad. I don't even know how that pulled up right there. He had 27 passing attempts. He had 2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard.
Yeah. But he only had 86 yards, 86 passing yards on
24 pass attempts. That's pretty brutal.
That is brutal.
It was the Cowboys defense, to be fair. But yeah.
That's like Russell Wilson, first time they played Kansas City, brutal. That's how bad it was. Which, yeah. For my
we'll return to speaking of Russell Wilson, yeah, again, these Broncos are 7.5 point favored or 7.5 point underdogs against the Bills. So what do we?
I thought it was 8. It's 7.5. Okay.
Yeah, 7.5.
Oh, it's 8 on DraftKings. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we've talked about the spreads enough. I guess that's where we'll start in terms of our picks. Gladys, you and I both went with the Broncos as the 7.5 point underdogs. I was tempted to take the Bills. 7.5 point favorites is a lot, though. I think it was just a little too much for me to go with it. More than a touchdown. Mm-hmm. I think the Russell Wilson hasn't been as brutal this year as he was last year. The Broncos offense actually operates pretty well, to Sean Payton's credit. It's been the defense. But I think both defenses are good enough to kind of hold this game total down too. And I don't think the Bills are going to run wild. They still think they'll win the game, but within the 7.5.
Before the first Kansas City game, and so he had 2 games after that, Russell Wilson was coming in as quarterback 9. Like, he's not having a bad year. He's not extremely going to get you yards, but he is throwing, like, touchdowns are saving his fantasy value. So, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, both running backs, I think they'll be okay. And Buffalo's defense isn't that great. They've had trouble holding people, so
they've had a lot of injuries. They've had injuries to key players across like every level.
Still not that great. It doesn't matter why they're not that great. They're just not that great. You know what I mean? Like San Francisco wasn't that great before their bye week. Their defense was like a sieve. They come back from the bye week. Everyone's healthy. Chase Young is added to the defense, which is absolutely ridiculous that Washington gave up Chase Young to San Francisco, and they looked phenomenal. Like maybe it's Trevor Lawrence isn't the Trevor Lawrence we thought, because he hasn't been hiring quarterback 10 this year. But
I think he's thrown multiple touchdowns once. Like part of it too has not been that he's been bad. There's been times when they've run so much in the red zone that they've scored touchdowns on the ground. So he's still leading touchdown drives, but he's not seeing the benefit. But there are matchups where he's just playing brutal. But like even the games where he's playing great, his fantasy totals haven't been that fantastic. So that's been a major problem fantasy-wise.
Well, yeah, and I think that his QBR under pressure just dropped this year. Like he was all right. Like him and Herbert were like 2 of the quarterbacks last year, and Herbert's still this year. I think that were decent under pressure. He's not decent under pressure this year. Trevor Lawrence is not decent under pressure, which the Steelers couldn't exploit because they let Travis Etienne run all over them. Had they held Travis Etienne to like, I don't know, less than 100 yards, that would have been helpful and no touchdowns instead of the 3 that he scored. Ugh. That run defense is going to be the death of me.
Well, so we'll see. We'll see if the Broncos bring us victory here and keep it within 7 points, or if Dan actually picking the Bills as 7.5 point favorites is correct. Because part of me thought, oh yeah, Josh Allen and Russell Wilson, he's so much better of a quarterback. Like, yeah, he can make up for that point difference. And then I kind of later thought about, and as I was correlating specifically with the higher lower, I just thought, yeah, the spread was a little too much. But I can get Dan's temptation, and I certainly understand that with him going with the Bills. So we'll find out if he's correct or you and I have this one, Gladys.
Okay.
But no surprise because I do it every week anyway. I'm going lower than 48. Again,
I don't know.
I'll repeat the trend until it happens. We've had one higher hit on Monday Night Football this year, and it was set at 38. So certainly at 48, which I think is the second highest we've had. Chargers Cowboys was at 50.5. But so far, this is the second highest, higher lower that we've had on Monday Night Football. So I thought it was pretty easy for me to go with lower.
What was my prop pick? My player prop?
You went with Jaleel McLaughlin, which I guess we could talk if you want to talk about player props.
No, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going higher or lower. For the total.
Dan's going higher, so he and I were completely opposite on those two. And I think that does make sense though. Just to I'll let you think about it as I vamp on him on this. But to Dan's point, if you're going to go with Buffalo making that 8-point spread and or higher, you'd expect a lot of points scored. I think we expect the Broncos aren't going to be completely inept and they're going to score enough points to where if they're losing by 8 or more, then the Bills are going to have so many points that they'll hit that 48. So I think that made sense, and that's ultimately why I went away because I wanted to go low. I made the decision to go lower first, and then went to Bills Broncos as 7.5 underdogs. But I think for Dan it makes sense if you're going to pick the Bills, enough points will probably be scored that the higher will hit. So it makes sense to kind of correlate those two. So I don't know, not to say that you have to take the lower just because you took the Broncos, but that would, I think, be the logic of why Dan went with the Bills and with the higher than 48.
My only reservation is that, I mean, ordinarily with the picks that I have, I would go lower, but so many games this week were so high scoring, which was an anomaly for so far for this season. And with the Broncos coming off a bye, they're either going to be really good or not. You know what I mean? Like teams off a bye are usually you get that bump, although Jacksonville no. So if I think the game's going to be like 21-24, that's still lower. I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna go lower. Wait, I can't hear you.
Sorry. So yeah, we matched perfectly. We both went Broncos 7.5-point underdogs, and we both went lower. Dan went the opposite on both. Bills as the 7.5-point favorites and higher than 48. And I think that all makes sense.
Yeah. Let's tackle that to the running back. And then I picked the running back receiving and rushing yards 27.5 or higher.
Jaleel McLaughlin. It's funny, our picks are almost the same because I also went with the Broncos running back, Samaje Perine. They had him at 13.5 receiving yards.
I almost went Samaje Perine over to higher than 2 receptions. But
yeah, that too. That's been his role with the team. He's been the like designated third down back. So now McLaughlin could still catch a pass, so it does maybe make sense to go with that combined yardage for there as well. But I think that those numbers are so low that they're appealing. If I remember looking correctly, Samaje has hit over 13.5 in receiving in every game so far this year. Now, do they change his role following the bye week? That's maybe the one risk on this line, which is maybe what gave me a bit of hesitation. I almost made it 3 weeks in a row, Gladys, where one of us went pass attempts for a quarterback. Yeah. Because I got to say, I actually liked both quarterbacks for their pass attempts lines. I think Russell Wilson was 29.5, Josh Allen 34.5. Right. I thought both of those could be pretty attainable. I was considering going one, I couldn't decide, and then I saw the Perine line, and I thought, yeah, let's go there.
I wanted Javonte Williams to have receptions. He didn't have receptions. He had receiving yards. I would have gone with receptions on him.
Thinking he's out there enough that he'll catch a dump off for 2. Even if he's not overly efficient and only gaining like 8 yards off them, but he'll get those catches.
Russell Wilson's passing attempts, I think that Sean Payton is going to go to a run game. And so I didn't But then again, if they get behind, Russell Wilson will start dumping it off, which account for his pass attempts. So, his dump offs are going to be like 20, and then a couple long throws to Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. So it is attainable, but I think they're going to go predominantly run, or he should actually.
Makes sense. I know that the other line for Josh Allen was his pass attempts at 34.5, but also over half a rushing or receiving touchdown. I thought that was.
Wait, isn't that when they put like a pepper next to it? Is that like, I thought we weren't allowed to use those?
I wasn't sure either, but
Yeah.
I ultimately did go with that one. There you go. Playing both quarterbacks with a rushing touchdown. That's pretty.
A rushing touchdown.
I think Josh Allen is against this Broncos defense. The more I think about it, actually, I think he will. It could be pretty likely a rushing touchdown. That's been a big problem for Denver. It's not just allowing the big runs; they've also allowed a lot of touchdowns, and so I could see Allen getting the rushing touchdown. Russ doing it, I think, is a little trickier. It might happen, but I think that's definitely the one that you're probably sweating a lot longer on the game. Certainly, probably really good odds on that, where you'll win a lot based on the investment.
Yeah, I don't think I bet on Russ getting a rushing touchdown. Actually, I mean, Josh Allen. I think Allen's gonna get a rushing touchdown because the run game sucks. Cook isn't really great, and is Fournette active for this game?
I don't know. They hadn't mentioned.
So, yeah, I think that's money, but I don't think Russ getting a rushing touchdown's money. I don't know if I'd parlay that. But, Jamie's the 10-leg parlay king, so.
And again, I think the odds on are going to be so good that it might be worth it just to throw it out and see.
He hasn't had a rushing touchdown all season.
Who, Russ?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he had at least one, but I guess I'm wrong. It looks like Leonard Fournette is going to be active. He is not listed. They put him on the active roster, and he's not listed as one of the healthy scratches for the game.
So I would go Josh Allen and Leonard Fournette. I would parlay for a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, thinking that's why they're bringing him in.
Yep. With the goal line, big old Lenny.
Yeah, Uncle Lenny.
Uncle Lenny. What was Dan's player prop?
And he made us a big explanation here in the chat. So he's going with Alex Singleton.
God, so many words.
Higher than 5.5 solo tackles. And I got a little bit to talk about Alex Singleton too, so I did want to save him for the end. But all three of us went with Broncos players in our props. As much as all these great Bills players that are exciting to pick, and there's some temptation on a few Josh Allen stats, but ultimately all three of us went with the Broncos player, which I found funny. So in terms of 5.5 solo tackles, he has 22 solo tackles in the last three. He's 50-50 for the year, basically on getting 6 or more solo tackles in a game. Buffalo rank 11th most tackles allowed to the linebacker position with about 18 tackles per game. So 18 tackles to the linebacking core in total. Can Singleton account for a third of those? If so, Dan hits the over
here. So Dan is diametrically opposed to everything that we went for, basically.
Well, I actually don't mind the Singleton line. I think that would be good. Our lines could correlate. I mean, if the idea is like the Bills are going to win, they'll be running the ball more potentially. That means more tackle opportunities for Singleton. But then also we've kind of had it where, okay, the pass catching backs are going to get more receptions if Denver's forced to be from behind it and throw. And I think they will again lose, but they'll lose by 4, they'll lose by 3, and so that's why I picked them on the spread. But in that sense, I don't think we're that different than Dan in terms of the Singleton line. I mean, that makes sense to me, right? Like picking a linebacker on the team you think is going to lose because the winning team will be running so much, be on the field so much that he'll get all those opportunities. Kind of like targeting linebackers on bad teams because they're just going to rack up the tackles. They're going to be on the field so much. Kind of an IDP trick there. It's fine. You are right though in that he is opposed to us in that he's going Broncos, he's going higher. He's going Bills and higher. We're going Broncos and lower. Shout out to Alex Singleton. That's why I was wearing the Canadian hat. He's not technically Canadian, but his mom is Canadian. So when he played in the CFL, he actually counted as a Canadian. So In 2017, not only did he win Most Outstanding Defensive Player, but he also won Most Outstanding Canadian, even though he's born in California. But yeah, the 3 seasons with Calgary in the CFL were phenomenal. He was arguably the best middle linebacker in the league at the time. Calgary went to the Grey Cup all 3 years. They won it finally in 2018 before he left to join the Eagles in 2019. But yeah, his 2017 Most Outstanding Defensive Player season, he had 125 tackles, 4 sacks, had a forced fumble, had an interception, and 4 pass knockdowns. So he hasn't, I think of last year, Singleton had 163 combined tackles, which is crazy total.
I'm trying to see if
Singleton's great. So I love the pick, Dan. I love the player. Alex Singleton's phenomenal.
If the Bills have allowed a quarterback to have a rushing touchdown, and so far they haven't. Oh, Sam Howell had one in week 3.
Oh, that big blowout game too, right? I guess
Russ
is due for a touchdown in that sense. It's been so long since he scored one. And yeah, Jamie, like Alex Singleton, Jamie is technically Canadian as well. So if Jamie played in the CFL, he might get that Canadian eligibility.
Does Jamie have a Canadian hat though?
Yeah. I mean, you can Dynasty Curling, I think, ships to the States. So you could totally order this same hat as well.
So he doesn't have one yet.
And I mean, that's more just a general talk to anyone.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so Jamie's going with. Speaking of Jamie, he's going with Josh Allen and Russ anytime rush touchdown parlay. Bet $10 to win 110. So again, long odds, but if it happens, it
well, I wish you luck, James. I really do.
He thinks they're both going to score touchdowns, so we'll find out.
Yeah, 1 in 10 weeks, 9 weeks. Sam Howell's the only quarterback to score a rushing touchdown against the Bills, and Russ hasn't had a rushing touchdown. He's just not running. I mean, when he's running for his life, right? There have been like maybe 2 design plays for him to run, but coming out of a bye, who knows? 2 teams coming out of a bye yesterday. One looked really good. One looked like crap. So I don't know. Sean Payton out of a bye. I don't know what his record is.
Yeah, maybe you can look that up.
What's up?
I don't know. I guess maybe there's not enough time to look that up actually in this episode. But yeah, I guess. Well, we'll just go over all the picks again. I think. So again, Dan, who's not here, is taking the Bills as 7.5 point favorites. He's also taking the higher on the 48 for the higher lower. Gladys and I are going with the opposite though. We're both taking the Broncos as 7.5 point underdogs and lower than 48. In terms of our player props, all 3 of us picked players from the Broncos. So Dan went with linebacker Alex Singleton to get higher than 5.5 solo tackles. Gladys
10-3 out of a bye.
Sean Payton, wow.
Yeah, he went 0-3 his first 3 games, and then he never lost another one.
You learned how to
10 straight wins.
Said bye to losing after a bye.
Not bad.
Gladys and I both for our player props went with Broncos running back. She went with Jaleel McLaughlin higher than 27.5 rushing and receiving yards. I went with Shamaj P. Ryan just on the receiving yards, which is set at 13.5, also going higher there.
Is Formula One Canadian? No.
I mean, there's a Canadian there's the Montreal Grand Prix, so there is a race in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually I think it happens in July or something, but yeah, part of there's one race in the F1 season that comes to Canada, but that goes pretty global.
It is very global.
I guess we can recap results. Oh yeah, for the first time since week 2, I'm above 500 in our picking. Now Gladys is still in first. Gladys at 19, 12, and 2. You went 2 for 3 last week, Gladys. So,
what did I miss?
Jets. You and Dan both picked the Jets, and
that's right.
Chargers crushed them by much more than the 3.5 point spread.
Yeah. So, Jets have looked bad the last 3 weeks. I mean, really bad. I was gonna
say last 3 seasons, last 3 decades.
They haven't scored a touchdown in 36 offensive plays I've read somewhere.
This happened last year. There was a stretch last year where this happened too.
Where they didn't score a touchdown?
Yeah. I think it was
an offensive touchdown.
Yeah.
It's
I remember there was that one game where they only scored 3 points against the Patriots. Patriots won 6-3 or something, or 10-3. I mean, they've won a Super Bowl doing that too. But yeah, we all. So again, one thing to shout out: when all three of us have gone lower. That those lowers have hit all 3 times. So last week again, we all picked lower, and sure enough, it hit. So we're 3-0, all going unanimous on the lower this season. Now we're 0-3 unanimous against the spread. So we'll eventually have to figure that out. Maybe not this week though, because Dan picked the Bills. But yeah, Dan, that was the only one he got right because Eckler only caught 2 passes, so he did not hit his higher. And then Tony Adams, for the first time this season, got less than 5 tackles.
Wait, what was Eckler? What was Eckler's
thing? It was 4.5 catches.
Oh,
Dan went with
receptions?
He only caught 2 passes last week.
Wow.
They were up
that would be a money bet too.
It's funny. Dan has twice gone with Eckler. In both Chargers games we've done, and neither prop has hit. He went 88.5 total yards.
Okay.
Against the Cowboys in Week 6, did not hit that number, and then he went with the catches this time and didn't hit that.
He needs to get off Eckler.
Well, it's funny because Dan went 5 straight weeks hitting a prop correctly, and then since then has gone 5 straight weeks where he's got it wrong. So.
And 2 of them were Eckler.
Yeah, 2 of them were Eckler in that stretch. Yeah. I don't think we have the Chargers again this year, so we won't have to worry about that.
Oh, okay, that's good. Good for Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's sent you my dinner? Is Jamie sending pictures of food now? Is Jamie a foodie? What's happening?
He's a Canadian foodie. Jamie is quite eclectic. He's a Renaissance man, we'll say.
Jamie, you have like dead flesh on that plate. That is not delicious. It's dead flesh, my friend. Not jealous at all. It is. It's like a big slab of dead flesh in the middle of the plate with like 2 things of broccoli. Come on. It's like two broccoli sprouts and like this big piece of dead flesh.
Like planting 2 trees and saying you have a forest.
I know exactly. How is that delicious? You are crazy.
Okay. Oh, he's playing Formula 1, like the video game. Okay. Oh. And he created a Canadian driver. Did you call him Jamie Villeneuve? To go with Jacques Villeneuve, which is a former F1 champion. Goodness. Canadian F1 champion.
There's like 2 strips of broccoli on there. Oh, maybe 3. One's out of the picture. Oh my God. That is not, you can't even, no. I have never.
Fish is pretty good, I gotta say.
What?
I like eating fish.
Really? Yeah. It smells so bad. It smells so bad. I've never eaten, even before I became a vegetarian and a vegan, my mom says I would never eat fish. So I've never eaten fish. And I don't intend to eat fish ever in my life unless, my reincarnation, I come back as what, a shark? Shark eats other fish or something? I don't know. But that just does so disgusting. And I work in restaurants, Jamie. Disgusting. Big slab of dead flesh, 3 things of broccoli. That's not a dinner. That's a carnivore. And you are diverse. I will agree with that. People. Did you already eat your cheese fries?
Yeah, I ate before. So I'm technically not eating for Monday Night Football. I got too hungry.
All right. But so you don't eat during the game? How can you not eat during the game?
I usually don't watch Monday Night Football.
Oh, you don't?
Oh,
okay.
I'm too burnt out from the weekend of watching football. The CFL games are phenomenal too, and I'll of course recap that in no particular order on Saturday. But
exactly.
After especially when the CFL regular season is going, like I'm literally watching like football games Thursday night, CFL games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like it's 4 straight days of football. Monday I kind of just okay, let's just take it easy. And I can't stand Troy Aikman, so I don't want to give them the
which brings me back. I forgot. I think like they have the Madden curse. I think that there is who are the boys? The Manning curse, because Aaron Rodgers came on before he got hurt. The game before he got hurt, he came on a week before Manning, and T-Law was on during his bye week, and then he comes out and lays that dud. There is a Manning curse for players who come on that show and then have to play the next week.
I'm confused though, because Aaron Rodgers got hurt week 1. There was no Manning cast the week before. Like,
Yeah, they
I
had
mean, the final one of the last season?
No, they had like, I guess it was kind of like a promo for it where they
Oh,
were um I don't even know what he was doing. Like Peyton Manning does really strange things on Omaha Network, and Aaron Rodgers was on it then.
okay.
Yeah.
But I think that's also a problem for me is that with moving and I got a new internet and cable or a satellite package, and unfortunately, like with my old package, I would get access to the Manning cast, and now I don't. So now I have no reason to
Wait, when
watch.
did you move?
June.
Oh, okay. Um, so do you eat during Sunday's games, or do you wait till the games are over?
Oh no, I'll eat during the games. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was just like a thing that you didn't
No,
eat
I
for the
love
game.
pizza. I've talked about like the press coverage. Everyone's like game day foods. Pizza's my go-to, especially if you have people over. You just get 2 or 3 boxes of pizza, and there you go. Everyone.
What do you have on
Yeah.
your pizza?
You see, so if I mean anything but onions is typically like I'm fine with like literally anything on pizza except onions. So of the conventional typical pizza toppings, of course,
Uh-huh.
it could be
Okay.
quite out there. But I usually, if it's like okay, you could order from a place, you get 3 toppings to choose from for free. I'll usually go with olives because I love especially black olives, but black or green olives I'll take.
Okay.
A meat, at least one meat. I'm usually going either bacon or ham, and then pineapple is the third. And then you get a fruit, a vegetable, and a meat. Everything else is super salty, so the pineapple actually complements everything else really well. I'm definitely a pineapple on pizza type of person, but
I've
because
never had pineapple on pizza.
I know people like there's some people that seem to have this just disdain for it.
Uh-huh.
For those people, that's how I view onions on pizza. I don't think onion should be a topping at all. I think it's a crime that we've made onion a standardized topping on burgers or pizzas. Like I hate having to constantly ask for no onions every time I go to like order a burger because it's like I assume everything will have onions everywhere for some reason. Everyone just loves to throw them on. I get their utility as like I'm putting them in a sauce or I'm cooking a stew or a soup with it or like being baked into something, but just throwing them on top as a topping, I think is awful.
Is it true that Canadians put mayo on everything?
I mean, some Canadians do. I've heard a lot more ketchup, but I think that's more of a French Canadian thing.
Ketchup?
Yeah, I hear a lot more people just like throw ketchup on everything as opposed to mayo on everything. But I mean, like, all like I know my wife does this too. Like, I'll dip fries into mayo as opposed to ketchup.
Wait, what?
Yeah, just dip. I see. I don't see how it's that weird. It's like it's just another condiment. It's like dipping fries into mustard or dipping fries into like wing sauce. Like, I feel like it all applies.
Okay.
We'll dip
I mean, I've
fries into
heard,
mayo.
yeah, and I guess well, I think fry sauce is like mayo and ketchup, so it's the same. Jamie, that's way too much. That's way too much dead flesh on your pizza, man. You've got to get away from this dead flesh thing that you're having. Pepperoni, bacon, ham, pineapple, jalapeno. That's interesting. You have the hot, the sweet, and then the dead
I,
flesh.
I like it actually. I love that. I would totally have that
The
pizza.
jalapenos too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't mind hot peppers.
No, I don't mind hot peppers. I
I would. I wouldn't. It wouldn't say it would be my ideal. I would. I love the other three combo: bacon, pepperoni, ham. Yeah, I love that.
and the pineapple, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've been saying that trio: bacon, pineapple, ham. Like that's. Like, I just need that. I like the jalapenos are extra. Again, I would prefer olives, but I could totally get that. Oh, now I actually have a fantasy football question. That makes sense. On the Fantasy Football Network here, the Going for Two Live Network. Should I trade Debo and Kincaid for Monty? All right, Team Money reacts. I'm gonna need a bit of context to know. So,
Yes,
dynasty or
he has to.
redraft.
No, and we need your team. We need
Well, I
who
don't
else?
even need the whole team, but just
I would like
like
the whole team.
sure, okay. Gladys wants the whole team as well. At least your starters. Like, what's your starting lineup look like right now? And then I think specifically if you're gonna trade away Monty, or I guess he's traded for Monty. So never mind. I was gonna say, what does your running back room look like without? I guess specifically, yeah. If you're trading away Kincaid, who do you have at tight end to start? Or are you forced to go to the um, waiver wire to pick someone up? But yeah, if you can get us your team number of starters as well in the scoring settings. Is this PPR, half PPR? Is it tight end premium? point per carry, points per first down, like any of that stuff. So yeah, if you can give us that information, we'll definitely wait for you. We've still got another 13 minutes before game time.
5-man PPR flex Burrow, Eckler, Jay Williams. I'm guessing that's Javonte Williams, Chase, Waddle, Kelsey, Puka, Devo, Bench, Dobbs, Bride, Dotson, Jason. What are you trading? Half PPR? Should I trade?
Well, it's
Devo
full PPR.
Wait, he said half PPR, 4-point passing touchdown.
Oh, okay. Oh, here, you're right. Okay, it is half
PPR.
I get the appeal in half PPR of wanting to get that running back. Because I don't love Javonte Williams. I'd much rather play David Montgomery every week. And with already having Kelsey, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle,
and McBride. Dude, McBride's balling. I would make that trade. I would make that trade for Monty. Right now, I would do it. He has McBride, who is like 6 in route run for the league.
I mean, you're never. I mean, you could in theory flex McBride for sure, but that doesn't even enter into because you have Kelsey. You're just playing Kelsey every week anyway. To me, the concern here is Deebo. Like
he has 2 flex though. It's a 2 flex, so he can play McBride.
Oh, for sure, he could. Yeah, that's fine too. If you got enough depth, you don't need to. Eckler, and you'd be able to throw in, I guess, Javonte Williams and McBride as your flexes every week with Montgomery there starting. Montgomery's past his bye week. I guess and so are Deebo.
There's a chance that Puka bounces back.
I guess the one edge is that you're giving away Kincaid before his bye week. So that manager, if they don't have another tight end, they're going to have to scramble for that tight end anyway. Whereas you're getting a running back in Montgomery who's past his bye week. So like from a bye week perspective, that makes sense. Again, though, you're not even really losing starters in terms of like you might play Puka over Deebo, but there's some weeks you might want to play Deebo for Puka. But all to say, I guess like how many players do you have to start? It's saying 2 flex, but like do you have to start 3 wide receivers?
It's an 8-man.
Well, 8 man, so that would be what, quarterback, 2 flexes at 3, and then you need 5. So probably 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end.
He wants Waddle for no. He wants Waddle for Kincaid. No, I wouldn't give up Waddle for Kincaid. I don't think that's a fair trade.
Now I'm confused. Now he makes it sound like he doesn't have Kincaid. So would he be giving up Montgomery to get Deebo? But he mentioned Deebo. Now I'm really confused.
One quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex, and a defense. No way Waddle for Kincaid. Yeah.
Waddle for Monty. Okay. Still okay, no. So you made the offer. Yeah, I think I'd keep Waddle there because you're losing because you're just going from one starter to another. Whether it's Montgomery in the lineup or Waddle in the lineup, I don't know that there's a massive difference. Both players passed their bye week, so there's not difference there. I guess both offenses are great. In half PPR, it's not bad, but Waddle's also, as much as it's a big volume thing, I can get behind it.
I would keep Waddle. I wouldn't trade Waddle for Kincaid. I wouldn't trade Waddle for Monty. Waddle is in a timeshare as Monty is, but Waddle's in a timeshare where if he's healthy, he's going to at least get you some PPR points.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the thing with like a team's number 2 receiver is still kind of like a standalone role. So even if he's behind Hill, they can both have great weeks at the same time. So
no, keep Waddle.
Looking at it like Deebo and Kincaid. Yeah, I think I don't mind the Deebo to Kincaid thing because it doesn't feel like you're giving up 2 starters, even though those are 2 starting caliber players. But to your lineup, you would need both to be starters every week. So,
okay, I was looking at it like
Deebo. he was trying to make Deebo the main piece of the trade, and then just throw in Kincaid to make it happen. But it seems like the opponent he's trying to trade with really wants Waddle, not Deebo. Issue 7. Now. Oh, can you make it? Well, can you then do that same thing? Okay, if they really want Waddle, if they're really set on Waddle, and you're getting Montgomery back, throw in Kincaid. Can you get a second piece back on top of Montgomery to make that worth it? That I'd be okay with that type of move.
But it depends on who that second piece was.
For sure, I think you'd probably want it to be a wide receiver. To be honest,
a wide receiver 1.
Or even well, and I think having who's his wide receiver one again? I mean, I assume T Money. I guess it could be female. Oh, Chase, of course. So Chase is on
Yeah.
Chase. Having Chase and Kelsey is kind of a luxury where that wide receiver you can get it back can be like a Christian Kirk esque type wide receiver. Like let's say it's Montgomery and Christian Kirk. I'd be fine giving up Waddle and Kincaid for that.
Barkley, Canine, Thielen, Addison. Who is Canine?
That's Kenneth Walker, I think.
And CD is
CD Lamb.
ah. Ooh.
I agree with Jamie though. I would rather have Ayuk than Debo, but it's not by much. I still think Debo's productive.
Yeah, and I think he will be. But he isn't trying to give up CD. No.
Well, yeah, I know. I think that's a whole different conversation. I think.
Yeah.
With Lamb. Then you're.
Thielen's on his way down. Thielen's his route running has gone down. His targets have gone down, and Bryce Young hasn't figured it out yet. Addison might. Did you bet that 10 leg? No, Jamie.
We've been hosting the show, Jamie. If you haven't noticed, the 2-point conversion here. Hello.
Yeah. Plus that 10 leg parlay, I have to like go in and get alternative bets, and I didn't have time for that. I need a 10 leg parlay for next week, though, Jamie. DM me a 10 leg parlay for next week, or 5 leg. 5 leg.
Yeah, I think the tricky thing with the T Money Reacts trade is what's that second piece again? If you're giving up Waddle and Kincaid to get Montgomery, what's that second piece that's good enough to make you want to accept the trade, but like that other manager is willing to give up for the same sake of the trade? I think, and I don't know if this is the right person to trade with either. Like I would look through the league and who is the most desperate for a tight end, and then if you really want to flip Kincaid, okay, what can you get just for Kincaid to that team that like absolutely is desperate for a tight end? Maybe that's this team you're talking to right now. Because when you mentioned all their players, yeah, Deontay Johnson, I would like. If you can get Montgomery and Deontay Johnson, I think I'd be fine giving up Waddle and Kincaid in the redraft league. What do you think, Gladys?
Shit. I still wouldn't.
Waddle's just that much ahead of Montgomery, even in half PPR where you're.
Yeah, and Deontay, with that offense, you don't know what's going to happen.
And with so few touchdowns, Deontay is a very volume-based guy that's better in full PPR than he is in half PPR.
Yeah. I'll come for the Browns versus Steelers. All right. Just DM me before, I don't know, the game. That would be nice. And
Garrett Wilson sack?
What?
You mean Myles Garrett sack? Because if Garrett Wilson ever gets sacked, there's a fundamental problem with the Jets if he's throwing the ball instead of catching it.
I think a Myles Garrett
might be better quarterback than Zach Wilson, to be honest. But
Garrett Wilson, another sack. What? Myles Garrett, another sack. What is he talking about?
I don't know. But yeah, to T Money, I think
this is what happens when you eat dead flesh, Jamie.
You see, I eat fish and I don't feel like that messed up. But I'll just say, like, with T Money, I would look at just like who are the teams that are starting the worst tight end that are like really could use that tight end upgrade. They'll be willing to probably give the most for Kincaid. Now, just knowing like this, it seems like he was mentioning this other manager's team and all the good assets they had. This team doesn't seem to have a good tight end, so maybe that's why he's chosen this team as the trade target, thinking that this is the team that'll give him the most for Kincaid.
Yeah.
Do you think Addison's attainable in this case? Do you think Montgomery and Addison for Waddle and Kincaid is doable?
I think it's doable. I don't think I would do it.
Oh, so you're still like Waddle's that much ahead of Montgomery.
Yeah.
That
he has like, Ingram. Ingram's not. Ingram hasn't had a red zone target all season. He's not. Yeah, he needs a. Yeah.
Yeah, he is Ingram. I guess I don't view the Ingram manager as the most desperate to want to, because they've been bad recently, but it's at least we know this offense. You're at least tied to a good offense. He's seemed to get the volume. I wonder if there's someone else in your league that's even starting an even worse tight end than Ingram. That might be the team I try to go sell Kincaid to, and just get whatever other piece you can get, another wide receiver starter. If you really want to shore up that running back 2 spot instead of it being Javonte Williams. Yeah, Javonte plus Kincaid. Like, what's the best running back you could possibly get? I mean, heck, even this case, would you do something like Javonte and Kincaid to get Kenneth Walker?
The dude Taysom Hill hasn't traded with no one. I don't blame him. I'm keeping Taysom Hill as my cheat card.
He's not. It's so hard to sell him because what are people actually going to buy him for? If it's so little, then yeah, you may as well hold on to him.
He made his team a ride or die.
So I think there's potential here. Team Money, Team Money React. Sorry, that's true. I have seen that Kenneth Walker's playoff schedule sucks, but yeah, if he's not the guy you want, then yeah, I would again, don't feel like you have to just negotiate with this team either. Look for other teams where Kincaid would be a clear tight end upgrade, and see like again if you can pair Kincaid with Williams, can you get one of their elite running backs? Look for again. Is there a Venn diagram of teams that are deep at running back and hurting a tight end? That would be the ideal target, I think. Maybe, and again, maybe this is this team he's talking to that is the best situation for that.
All right then, Jamie, DM me a reasonable 5-leg parlay. Myles Garrett 3 sacks is not reasonable, unless you're pairing it with T.J. Watt.
There's the Steelers.
T.J. Watt.
As there's like a total sack number, like both combined.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a cool one. Yeah, I agree there.
That would be a cool one.
Yeah, as mentioned, we're going lower and we're going Broncos. Gladys. I mean, Dan's not. Dan's going Bills and higher, but yeah, we've got the Broncos running backs with their receiving and rushing and receiving yards for Gladys with McLaughlin. I've got P. Ryan, and Dan's going with the Canadian, not Canadian, Alex Singleton. So shout out to there. Anything you want to end the episode with, Gladys?
No, I don't. There isn't. One dude has Bijan, CMC, Brees, and Connor, but his tight end is Dalton.
Like Dawson Knox?
Dalton. I don't know who Dalton is. But
because the only Dalton I could think of is Dalton Kincaid. So
exactly, that's what I thought of. What's Schultz's first name? From Houston.
Oh, Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton.
You see, that I wouldn't view as an upgrade. Like that to me, like that's not the team I think that's desperate. Like Schultz has been smashing. Like they probably would rather have Dalton Schultz. So.
Schultz is like the second targeted.
I don't think they're giving up any of that running back depth.
Love you, Jamie. That's what I'll end with. Missed you, Dan. Have good Chinese and beer. Yay.
Yeah, I think it's his father-in-law's birthday. I saw his mention.
Oh, happy birthday, Dan's father-in-law. 60th. That's nice. Happy milestone.
Yeah, and yeah, we hit the milestone 15-minute marker, 8:15 or 6:15 Mountain Time. The game's about to start, so thank you everyone for watching another episode of the 2-Point Conversion Monday Night Football preview. Dan will be back next week. I can't remember who's in next week, but it's Chiefs Eagles. Yeah, we're getting
a good game next week.
Yeah, so tune in next week for the 2-Point Conversion. Bye for now.
See you guys. Good luck.